Hey, and welcome back. So, if one more person tells you to just relax when you're stressed out, I want you to send them this episode because cortisol, which is your primary hormone, is way more complicated than just calm down. And today we're going to kind of break down what's actually happening in your body when you're stuck in that wired, tired, and can't switch off state. So, first off, cortisol is not the villain that people make it out to be. In the right amounts at the right times, it is essential. And it's what, gets us out of bed in the morning. It regulates your blood sugar. It manages inflammation and it helps you respond to real, true, actual danger. The problem isn't cortisol existing. The problem is when it's chronically elevated or dysregulated. That's when your body is pumping it out constantly because it thinks you're in danger 24/7, even if that danger is just your inbox is too full, right? So here's where it gets real. Because when cortisol stays elevated for too long, it doesn't just make you feel stressed, it will eventually start affecting every system in your body. It disrupts your blood sugar regulation, which is part of why chronic stress is linked to those sugar cravings and the energy crashes that you feel. It suppresses your digestive function. So that ties directly back to that bloating episode that we did. Remember? Rest and digest versus fight or flight. It also interferes with your sleep, particularly that very deep sleep stage and that restorative sleep stage that we need to feel rested in the morning. And it can throw off all your other hormones as well. And so, we this that's why so many women are dealing with chronic stress and they end up with it affecting their cycle or worsening PMS or affecting perimenopause symptoms that will, hit harder than expected. They're all connected and it's all connected and it can be all connected to cortisol. So, what actually moves the needle beyond just relax is that you regulate, not relax. So, nervous system regulation is different from relaxation. It's about completing the stress cycle, not avoiding it and trying to avoid stress altogether because that's really not never going to happen, right? Not in the world that we live in. You're always going to have stress. So you can try some physical movement, even if it's just a walk. That's generally going to help to discharge stress hormones um, more than just a bubble bath alone will, right? So double dip it, go after a meal. So that's going to help with your digestion at the same time. Then I want you to think about protecting your mornings. So cortisol naturally peaks and should be the highest when we wake up in the morning. That's normal, that's healthy. But when you grab your phone and you start scrolling through your social media feeds, the news feeds, or your email within minutes of waking, that spikes it even further, right when it's already high. So even if you just wait 5 minutes before looking at your screen, that can make a huge difference. Ideally, the longer you can wait, 30 to 40 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour, that will really make a difference. It also helps to support your blood sugar stability. So when you skip meals or you go too low in carbohydrates, that can actually be a stressor on your body and that can actually raise your cortisol. So you want to make sure that you have consistent protein at meals, at every meal. That's going to help to keep your cortisol steady. So aim for 25 to 30 grams at each meal. That's going to help to, like I said, keep that cortisol steady eddy. And then watch your stimulant timing. So caffeine, when you have it first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, is already, when your cortisol is already high, actually, and peaked, that can compound the stress response. So maybe try eating a little something first, or certainly maybe just some lemon water in the morning before you have your coffee. And then really you want to prioritize your sleep as something that is non-negotiable, not the first thing that you sacrifice when your life starts to get really busy, because poor sleep is really going to directly raise that cortisol the next day. And that's going to create that cycle and that vicious cycle that's very, very hard to break. So I want you to know that your stress is not a character flaw. And it's not something that you can positive think your way out of, right? It's a physiological process, and it responds to physiological interventions. So, if your stress and hormones feel like they are all tangled up and you're not sure where to even start to untangle them, that's exactly what I do in a discovery call with you. So, we will break down where we can make some lifestyle changes, where we might be able to make some diet changes, and help to keep that cortisol in check so that you're not feeling like, and your body is not breaking down from that cortisol. So you can book a discovery call in the show notes. There's a link in the show notes below. You can always head on over to my website, wendyhandy.com, and book a free discovery call there. And in the next coming weeks, we're going to shift gears just a little bit here, and we're going to talk about some clean beauty. Specifically, I'm going to talk about the 5 ingredients that I personally ditch from my routine and what I replace them with. And then maybe we'll go into some cleaning products for the home, because that affects everything as well. So, thanks for spending a little bit of time with me today, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.